welcome to Geno's Picks. I know, 1-3 last week. A lot of people thought we went 2-2, but we didn't, because if you watch our first video ever, our lines are based on the line at kickoff, because we know that's when 90% of America votes. And while we said 15.5 for the Broncos in the video, it was up to 16.5. We got hooked. But so what? 1-3, still 6-6 overall. We're doing fine, and we're ready to really get into the meat of the season, so let's go. But first, you know what really grinds my gears? RG3. And he grinds my gears because I love the guy. But please don't say the fumble that you had was a stupid NFL rule. It wasn't, people. Don't blame the NFL, RG3, when it's your team that's killing you. We fell in love with your play last season, with your read options and your dynamic play. But now, back in Washington, they're so afraid of you getting hurt. They've caged you. They want you to be a John Elway play type caller. That's not going to happen. Look, DC, I know you're south of the Mason-Dixon line, but you need to let this black man run free. So RG3, stop blaming the NFL rule book because we love watching you be you. And now, after sputtering to an 0-3 start, after everyone picked you to make the playoffs, I would think a guy like you would be an expert on sliding. RG3, get back to the read option. We love you. Now let's get to Geno's Picks. My first pick, the Seattle Seahawks, shout out Pete, are giving a field goal to the Texans in Houston. Really? Only a field goal? Only 3? What am I missing? This is the most solid defense in football, facing the most suspect all-around team in the game, if you ask me. Look, I don't know if you know this, but Russell Wilson is not only a perfect 10-0 at home now, but on the road, he's 4-1 in his last 5 games, with one of those wins being a playoff victory against the Redskins, and the only loss being that playoff loss against the Falcons, where they almost won. So stop it. Seattle is too good a team. Meanwhile, all the Texans have done this season is have the Chargers hand them a win in Week 1, the Titans hand them a win in Week 2 at home, and then get blown out by the Ray Riceless, Jacoby Jonesless Ravens team last week. You're kidding me. And now you're telling me that the far and away best team in football is going to allow them to stay within a field goal of the game, especially when the guy kicking the field goal for the Texans would be this guy, Randy Bullock. Did anyone see the Titans game? Week 2, the guy missed 3 out of 4 field goals on one play. I haven't seen that much bad kicking on one play since I went to an off-Broadway musical. I never went to a musical, but I wanted to crowbar that joke in. Look, people, if you didn't see the play, it was absolutely hysterical. But let me tell you something. Save yourself the time and the energy of watching the Texans, because if you want to watch something that's both shaky and hilarious, Michael J. Fox has a sitcom on NBC now. Take the Seahawks, lay the 3. My next pick, the Bears are getting 2.5 from the Lions in Detroit. I get it, Vegas. You're saying this game is basically a push, so the home team gets the field goal, but I think you're crazy. Because after watching these two teams this season, I'm convinced, one, that Mark Trestman is more than prepared to be an NFL coach after his 2 Grey Cup wins, and I am more than certain that Jim Schwartz is not prepared to ever be an NFL coach after only 1 winning season in the NFL. The Bears have learned how to protect Jay Cutler. He's only been sacked 3 times all season, and that offense is playing at an incredible level. And if you need more proof of what a bad coach our boy Schwartz is, then look no further than their kicking situation this past offseason. Jason Hanson retired. And what did he do? Rather than find a good kicker, he went to YouTube. And he signed this guy from England named Harvard Rugland because he made all these crazy trick kick shots. Is that going to translate in the NFL when you have a pressure situation? You don't get 19 chances to set it up. No. So, of course, he didn't make the team. And they had to settle for journeyman David Akers. And what's the point? He doesn't pay attention because the whole time he had the best kicker in football on his roster. You know where we're going. And Ndamukong Suh. That guy will kick anyone, anytime, anywhere, and from way more than 50 yards out. Right. But the Ndamukong Suh thing proves my point. This is just another inmate running the circus. And if you need more proof, look at how last year when the Lions were struggling, rather than trying to right the ship, they just kept throwing to Megatron to break the record. What the hell does that do? And I'll tell you one last guy that's going to do that again this week. Reggie Bush is hurt. He shouldn't be playing, but they're going to let him play on his bum knee. That's going to affect this offense. Nate Burleson is out after getting carried away with a pizza party. That's going to affect this offense. And you know what else is going to affect this offense? Me taking the Bears, but I don't care. Take the Bears and the 2.5 they're getting. My next pick, the Cowboys are giving 2.5 to the Chargers in Qualcomm Stadium. I hate doing this, but I just have to pick against my Chargers. It's very rare, and people are always like, you're trying to reverse the karma. I'm not. There's no karma in San Diego, and there's no direction. But you know why I'm picking against the Chargers? Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. offensive coordinators make terrible head coaches, and we went from Norv, and now we took McCoy. He's a great offensive coordinator, but these guys don't know how to manage the clock. And if you don't believe me, look no further than the fact that the Chargers' only win came against the Eagles, and Chip Kelly, who manages the clock worse, or is it worser? Whatever, than McCoy. San Diego, you ready for this, is giving up 470 yards a game, and they are 5-9 in their last 14 games at Qualcomm, with most of the losses coming on last-minute chokes. Does anyone remember friggin' Peeboing when Novak had to pee and then missed a field goal? Do you know if NFL games were 59 minutes and 30 seconds long, my Chargers would be undefeated? But they're not. They're a full 60, and that's exactly why it's a beautiful thing that the Bolts play in a stadium named after a cell phone, because just like it, the Chargers that come with it never last as long as you need them to. People, take the Cowboys and lay the 2.5. I like that pick. Which brings me to my Double Your Money Monday Night Better. As I like to call it, maybe I'll think of a punchline halfway through. People, the Dolphins are getting 6.5 from the Saints in New Orleans. This is not your father's Dolphins team. I know I didn't expect them to do much, but 3-0 is pretty impressive. And the Saints had a big win opening day, and they had a big win last week because they play well at home, but Miami plays well everywhere. And if you think the Dolphins are going to lose by more than 6.5, you're absolutely crazy. Because New Orleans may be the big easy, but they got to where they are because their schedule so far has been big and easy. That joke stinks. I don't care. I got to get out of here. Take the Fins and the 6.5 you're getting. Those are Geno's picks. Like they didn't get enough funny jokes in the front of the video.